It is your trainer's job to set you up for success. Last week, we talked about your job as a rider to set your horse up for success and really eliminate a lot of the pitfalls, disasters, all of those things that we talk about a lot here on Dressage Hub. Now, this week, we're here talking about things that I should never have to talk about. This video was sent to me by a fan, and while when I read through the comment section, a lot of people are really upset that this horse probably has ulcers and it's really kind of a pins its ears, that kind of thing when it's being saddled. I'm not going to talk about the horse at this point, but I do want to talk about toxic trainers. So when this video starts out, it's not awful. She's tacking her horse up from the wrong side. I'm not entirely sure why. The trainer does not appear to be offering a lot of support, which confuses me, because if the rider's not quite capable or ready to be independent in saddling a horse or tacking up a horse, then she should be live streaming. She should be there assisting. And if she knows the horse can be a little tricky or intimidating, then again, why is she standing there not supporting this rider? So whether that means standing next to the horse's head or supporting the rider in a way that she needs to be comfortable doing this.
Number one is make sure you have the girth on the saddle when you put it on, because now if he shakes, the saddle could be smashed. And at £1,000 a saddle, that's not good.
To the mistakes that the rider is making. And the rider should at this point at least be aware of the tack. On a live stream is definitely not the time to address the value of your saddle, the tack. Everything is very condescending in terms of the errors that she's making, instead of being supportive and saying, hey, let's try and do it a little bit differently. But this rider clearly doesn't look comfortable with any part of this situation at this point.
That's the key. There. You've got people watching you live, just so you know.
All right, here's the trigger point for me.
So he's watching you tack up.
She, at this point, we are now a minute and a half into this video. At this point, she tells this rider that she is live, which to me says she didn't have consent. And so here's what I'm going to say. If you're an amateur and your instructor wants to film you and asks you in the stable, hey, can I film you? Can we go live? You can say yes. And before the camera goes live, they need to tell you that again. So there should be numerous confirmations of consent here, right? So if you get on your horse and you're having a bad ride and you don't want to go live, before that trainer goes live, they should be saying, hey, I'm going to throw this on live. Is that okay? Consent needs to happen over and over again in any shape or form. This is not fair to this young girl who's already struggling with this task. And so that for me is a big line. And I know that on Dressage Hub, people love to get mad at me for consent. The difference is if you are on a showgrounds at a public venue, you can assume that you're being filmed. Just assume that between cameras, on security cameras, whether that's media, whether there's just assume that you're being filmed. You're in a public venue. That is what people are there to do, to take pictures, to photograph. It may not be you, but they're going to be. This is someone who is at a private stable paying for this trainer's time while she's promoting herself, and condescending and bullying this young woman. And so for me, this consent piece is a really big issue, because then she carries on to be even more assertive and condescending. And where she's sitting here, she's giving some very basic level instructions. And I don't know if this is a concept that she's explained to this young lady before, or she continues to explain it. Either way, it's concerning in terms of the fact that she's choosing to do this lesson on a live stream and really disregard the value that someone has either paid for her time. And if she's a working student and maybe hasn't paid for that time, she's still paid for that time with her skill set and her labor, and therefore deserves the same respect. So if there's a task here where she's struggling, and then we see this horse here start pinning his ears and being aggressive towards the student, and instead of supporting that, she's talking about the pressure and release technique.
Because the pressure release perspective causes him to be antagonistic and wave his teeth, and everyone backs away from him. When they back away from him, he then thinks, okay, that worked. They stop.
And this rider clearly, who barely can tack up a horse,
so we train
probably doesn't have a solid understanding of the pressure and release technique. And so now she's just throwing big words over her, and really just not supporting the rider in any way, shape, or form here in a way that's healthy.
Now, you actually look at your number. Is it all crooked, the possible pad? Look at your pad. So it's very difficult when big horse, little person. Look at the actual furry pad. I think you'll find that it's wrong. So these are the kind of details. So if we ride, I'm going to show everyone this. So if we were riding like this pad is completely wrong. This would give him a backache and would give him good reason to be really grumpy. So you just hold the camera and keep pointing it over there. So you can see.
So again, we're sitting here, we're looking at this, and we're just more and more condescending, pointing out the mistakes. And I struggle with this so much on so many levels. This trainer is toxic. It is entirely your job to set your students up for success as a trainer, and this is not an acceptable form. So if this resonates with you and you feel like this is your trainer, get out.